Hey gang, welcome back to the channel. My name's Nicky V. I'm a producer and studio musician here in Nashville. I'll try to get the annoying part out of the way right away. Most of you guys that watch this stuff haven't subscribed yet, so please hit that subscribe button if you don't mind. I'm trying to get these videos out to as many people as we can. Try to grow the channel a little bit so I can keep doing these things. So today I thought about how to practice smarter, and it's okay to embrace the learning process, guys. This is not a problem that's going to be solved overnight. I know you guys know that, but sometimes it's good to hear it, right? Allow yourself the time that it takes to really get this kind of stuff down. We're going to dive in deep on some things today and actually give you guys some actionable steps you can take to start expressing yourself a little more freely on the neck. We are all students for life, okay? The most accomplished musicians that you look up to and aspire to play like still feel like they're barely scratching the surface, and that's normal. There's a handful of individuals who have been touched by the universe, so to speak, like the Bachs of the world, right? That have transcended this realm that most of us live within. And that doesn't really apply to such a small minority. So I'm going to talk about things most of us mere mortals can do to try to get better at this thing. So it's very important to have a goal that we work towards. And everybody's goals look different, and that's okay. But it's absolutely imperative that you have it. And it's important to write it down. I know that sounds like the cheesiest thing ever, but like literally get a piece of paper out, write down what you want to do. Like, what is your 10-year goal on this instrument? Where would you like to see yourself in 10 years? What is the player that you aspire to play like look like? Write it down. And after that, figure out actionable steps to get you to that point, just like you do in business or any other aspect of life when you're wanting to get better at something. But for some reason, people just lack the focus and don't really know where to turn to try to keep getting better at this and progressing on the instrument. So we're going to talk about that. In the last video I put out called Stuck in a Rut, a lot of great questions came up in the comments, and I did my best to respond to everybody. And so likewise for this video, if you have any questions, put them down there and I'll do my best. I try to respond to every single one of them. Sometimes, depending on volume, I can't get to everyone, but I really try to. In that last video, the Stuck in a Rut video, I mentioned that I typically put practice into two different types of compartments. And the first compartment being things that can be done to a state of completion. And then the second compartment being things that cannot be done to a state of completion. And so two examples of this would be, if it can be done to a state of completion, it'd be something along the lines of practicing 5 positions of your major pentatonic scale up and down the neck, ascending and descending in a particular key for that day. You can do that exercise to its completion. On the other side of that coin, something like rhythmic accuracy or playing with a metronome cannot really be done to a state of completion because there's so many different tempos, different subdivisions. It's just too vast to sit down in one setting and practice everything. It just doesn't really work like that. And so you have to divide it out into segments of time and do it consistently over a long period of time. That is where the gains come from, or at least what I typically see. So, for example, if you have, say you have a normal, job and you can't just sit down and practice, 7 hours a day, like a college student would that's going to school for music. Say you practice 45 minutes a day, 3 to 5 days a week. And you're wanting to get your pocket more settled in, take 10 minutes a day for the next 3 years out of that practice routine. That's 45 minutes, and sit there with a click and just walk in doing different rudiments and subdivisions and things like this. And over 3 years, I can guarantee you that your pocket is going to get more settled in. Your accuracy is going to be there. Your phrasing is going to start to open up a little bit with some rhythmic variety. So it's important as we dive into the rest of this video to be able to be self-aware enough that when you are structuring your own practice routine, and everybody's looks a little different depending on what your goals are, you understand which compartment the different types of exercises are going to fall into, so you can structure it properly and stay organized with it. So I know this isn't like the most fun stuff to talk about, right? When you're talking about, it's music, this flowy, creative thing, right? And that's true, and it's artistic, and it needs to be beautiful and fun. But a lot of the times you want to have gains in really anything in life. It helps to have structure to it and an attack plan and a game plan. So that's what we're going to try to do here today a little bit. Everybody has different goals, but a common one that comes up that I see with most of my students after we get talking to them and kind of really figure out what it is, what it generally boils down to is creative expression. Most people want to just to be able to pick up this instrument and express themselves freely within, multiple genres or whatever they're into. If they're really into one thing, even that. So depending on what your goals are, your actionable steps to achieve those goals are going to be different. But I'm just going to do one as an example, and you can apply this to whatever you're into. So say it's creative expression. I'm going to list out, what do I got written down here? I actually took some notes this time. I got 5 things I'm going to talk about. So this is not an all-encompassing, thing to get to creative expression, because that's such a huge, end goal we never really get to anyways, right? We're just kind of scratching at it, like I said. But there's some things we can do to get us a little further down the road. And number one is you are only as good as your ear. And that is a very tough pill to swallow. And the reason it's so difficult is because ear training is such a slow-going process that really takes time. As a teacher, the worst answer I can give somebody is, oh man, it just takes time, right? My job is to expedite that process. And so there's a couple things with ear training you can do. Like I said, actionable steps, right? And I mentioned this in that last video, the Stuck in a Rut video, but sing each interval as you play them. This is the best ear training exercise you can do on this instrument. So I'm a terrible singer, but here we go. So take that G on the 5th fret right there and sing it G, but don't sing G, sing 1 because intervals reign superior, right? So 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 1, 1, 4, 1, 1, 5, 1. Then break it up. 1, 2, 1, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just do that painful crap for the next 3 years and your ear is going to get better. You're going to be able to hear into the line before you play it. All the stuff that we generally like starts to kind of happen if you do this type of work. The other thing is, I also mentioned this before, is to chart out songs by ear without your instrument. Force yourself to do it. Keep a record of it. Do it in pen so you can track your progress. I sound like a broken record, but this is important stuff. Try to break out of just listening to guitar music. And it's easier whenever you're picking out songs by ear. You start to hear what that chord sounds like. You hear that third kind of being wobbly in the top voice, and it kind of gives a unique identifier to that particular shape. Not necessarily, the actual note being in D, but that shape, whether it's capoed up, further up the neck. You start to pick up on the nuance of each one of those shapes. You start to hear what a G sounds like with no third in it versus the softer G with the thirds. And that almost acts as a cheat code a lot of the time, which is great because we tend to listen to a lot of guitar music if we're guitar players. Whenever you start branching out, it's really nice to be able to hear a pianist sit down and play a 1, 4, 5, 6 and be able to pick out that chord structure like that without relying on the very guitaristic stacks we're used to hearing with these particular chord shapes. So that's the first one, 3 actionable things you can do for each one. Sing the intervals, transcribe by ear, and transcribe other instruments other than guitar. It's kind of like practicing harder than you play on that third one. So number 2 we're moving on to is having this fretboard diatonic harmony down, top to bottom, in any key where you can put your hand down on the fretboard and play freely. I have a whole course designed specifically to target this. So if you put your hand down on the instrument and I said, play in C sharp. Okay, now switch to G. Whichever direction you're going. Okay, climb up the neck. Now we're switching to C. Okay, now we're going to E major. So wherever you're at in the fretboard, being able to play freely in any key is such an incredibly valuable tool to have at your disposal if you want to express yourself on this instrument. And I try to keep this stuff as unsalesy as I can. And people in the comments are like, oh, he's just trying to sell his course, right? And they're exactly right. The sales from the course are what justify me taking the time to make these videos and put them out there. And 90% of the video, guys, is not that, and it's free content. I'm just trying to help people out and pull more people in. So those of you that have bought the course, it really means a lot. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. Thank you for the overwhelming amount of very kind emails you've sent. It means a lot. Thank you. And if anybody's interested in the course, it's basically a system for organizing this neck top to bottom in a way that dissolves everything positionally to where you just view this neck as one big template that you can express yourself creatively within any key, anywhere. That's the very broad stroke overview of it. Okay, so enough of the sales pitch. Let's get back to our actionable steps. We just covered 2 of them. Ear training. Number 2 being learning this neck top to bottom. Moving on, number 3, increasing our rhythmic vocabulary. And this goes pretty hand in hand with variety and phrasing as well. But one aspect of it you could think of as rhythmic subdivision and accuracy. And this is not the fun work, right? It's not as fun as sitting down ripping a solo. This is something that you have to do consistently over time to have very subtle gains, right? So it's a difficult thing. This is kind of what separates out great players from good players. And you really need to spend the time with the metronome. So I'm gonna give you one thing you can do with it right now. I'm gonna fly through this, and this needs to be a more in-depth video at some point, but here it is. I'm gonna put a metronome on 75 BPM. So we start off with a quarter note. And try to make that click disappear, like I said. Then you move on to eighth notes. One and 2 and 3 and 4. Then you go to triplets. So it's going to have 3 attacks per click. Okay, and that's a little tricky because it flips up and down every time. Then you go to 16th notes. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a... Okay, and most people are like, okay, cool, I can do that. Then you attack every one of those different subdivisions. So quarter note, just a quarter note. Eighth note, just do the ups. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, right? Then you go to triplets. Everybody can usually feel the third of attack of a triplet, the let part, the triplet, because it's kind of like that shuffly bluesy thing. Triplet, 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 triplet. But the second attack is a difficult rhythm for most people to feel because it's not a part of most of our commercial music we listen to or grew up with. So the puh of the triplet. Sounds weird to say that. So triplet, 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 triplet. It's a harder one to feel. And then you move to 16th notes. And you got attack the downbeat. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a, right? Then you have the E. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E. Then you have the and. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and. Then you have the 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and up. Having a command of those is important. And then there's a ton of other, variations and combinations you can do, but it increases the variety in your phrasing. Because say you just take a pentatonic scale now, and I do the E's of a 16th note. 1E and 2E. Right? It just sounds cool. Do triplets. Throw a triplet against a 16th note. So you got... that kind of feel. So do that type of metronome work, every time you sit down with the guitar consistently for the next 3 years, and you're going to be a much more accurate player. You're going to have more variety in your rhythm playing, more variety in your lead playing, and the way you phrase. It's just really going to open up the fretboard and give you a lot more mileage out of some of the patterns and things you already know. Number 4, write down 5 to 7 different genres, right, that you like or might be slightly interested in or just curious about. And do the deep dive on them. Like spend 3 months to 6 months kind of really digging into, you can extract its DNA and figure out what is the makeup of that music, what is the defining characteristics of it, and then apply some of that to your own playing. This is how we start to develop our own musical voice. And if you want to be an individual, it's great, if you love Joe Walsh or Brian May or somebody, like Brian May is probably my favorite guitar player. But I don't sit down and necessarily transcribe a lot of Brian May. I just enjoy listening to him and I absorb some of it. But I would rather pull my own influences and have my own unique voice on my instrument. And typically, I think a good way to get that without sounding like your heroes is to go and pull from different styles. Dig into Motown for 6 months and figure out how to make stabs on 2 and 4 feel really good. That pulls right back into a rhythmic accuracy thing, or, do the Marvin Gaye thing. Just how to make very simple things feel amazing and in the pocket would be just one of the many things you can learn from like doing a deep dive on Motown. And then you might want to go down the classical rabbit hole for 6 months. And I'm not talking about, taking a college course and buying a nylon and learning the repertoire and all that. I'm talking about understanding the harmony, figuring out how counterpoint works, how voice leading connects the neck. And instead of playing a G, D over F sharp, E minor like that, you can play it in 2 voices like Bach would. And that's kind of interesting because you got one voice descending, the one voice ascending half the speed. There's your counterpoint, they meet in the middle. E minor. So being able to see music like that would completely change the way you see harmony on the neck because you dug outside of your blues rock comfort zone and pulled some extra influences into this. And G, D over F sharp, E minor comes up a lot. So the more ways you can express that on the instrument, beautiful. And number 5 is very cut and dry. Spend 5 to 10 minutes or however long you want to a day, a set amount of time for the day, singing melodic guitar solos. It is going to teach you voice. It's going to teach you consonance, dissonance. It's going to teach you how certain things release across the fretboard. It's going to teach you addressing chord tones. There's so much value in doing this. If you do that along with those 4 other things I mentioned, for the next 5 years or so, I can guarantee you're going to be a different guitar player. I think you'll be much happier with your level of freedom on this instrument doing those types of exercises or those actionable steps. Everybody's musical journey is different, and everybody has different goals, and we all have to walk our own path. You're going to figure out what works for you. There's no one-size-fits-all method, right? when I put these videos out, hundreds of thousands of people are watching some of these videos, and one video, like 1 million people watched it. It's impossible to keep everybody happy. I have to make some broad strokes here, guys. And that's the beauty of YouTube. The comments are always fun. But let me know if you guys have any questions. I do truly appreciate you taking the time to check this stuff out. If you're interested in that guitar course, I'll put a link down in the description. Really appreciate you guys. Thanks.